All right, we're going to play around with Pixlr again. Here I want to show you some work with layers. So here I have that house image I showed earlier, and I want to expand the canvas and add a black portion to that. So I'm going to do it a little different this time. What I'm going to do here is add a new layer. Just go to Layers menu and choose New Layer. Now it makes a new transparent layer. Now that layer actually sits on top of this image right here. So I'll just demonstrate that. I could get the bucket fill tool, choose black, and click. It looks like I wiped everything out. But if you look at the layers dialog box over here, you can see I have this top layer too that's all black and this bottom layer underneath. So if I uncheck the visibility of this particular layer, you can see the difference. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unlock the background layer because I want to switch the order of these two. Oops, come on. I didn't unlock it. Let's see. Come on. There we go. Oops. All right, so it's unlocked now. So I had to double click to unlock it, but I can change the order now. So I'm just going to move that up there, and now the black one's in the background. So this time I'm going to go to Image, and I'm going to go to Canvas Size, and I'm going to make it 1000 pixels. I have the anchor of my original image set to the upper left. Since I'm only changing the width, new pixels will appear to the right over here. Choose OK. Now, so what it did there is it gave me empty space because my original layer was blank. So I'm just going to go back to layer 2 here to make it the active layer, and I'm going to make the rest of it black. So now layer 2 is just this single black layer, and this layer right here is the house. And I can change the names of them. So I can call this layer house by just double clicking. I can, oops, what happened? Oops, I accidentally moved them. I can make this, just call it background now. It's usually a good idea to have relevant names for your layers. Put them back in the correct order. Come on, there you go. So that's the other way to get that black part back there. It's a little bit more work, but now I have the house in a different layer than that black background, which can be beneficial for some edits. You notice the problem I had before when I expanded the house picture as its own layer, that the white that it put over here was kind of one with the white on the house, neighboring house over there, which was a problem. Better to have things in their own compartments. Other ways to put in layers are you can open an image as a layer. So suppose I have another image I want to incorporate with this. Instead of copying and pasting it, I can just say, hey, open that whole other image as a layer in this file. And it drops it in. Now, right now, it is sitting between the house and the background, so I can reposition it to be on top of the house. And then I can switch tools here. There we go, pointer tool. And I can grab it and move that layer, the image in that layer, over to wherever I want it. So I could put it all the way over in the corner there, kind of like that. So now I have just another layer for that. If I needed to do more work on top of this, I might add yet another layer, and I can have as many layers as I want when I'm working with this. As far as text goes, in most graphics program these days, as soon as you click to apply text somewhere, it will automatically put that text in a new layer. So you can see over here on the right in my layers dialog box, I have a new layer 4 that's got an A in it, and I can type any kind of text I want, like great price, and I could put a price in there. I'm going to make it more readable. There we go. When I'm playing around with the text, and I can do this later too, but I usually like to do it while I'm playing, I'll change the color. Let's make it red. And maybe I'll make it a little bigger. Let's try 36. And let's make it bold and italic. and centered in its own little box. And I can grab it and reposition it anywhere I wish. How about right there? If I want to get back into the text later and edit it, I would make sure the text tool is on, double click on it, and I can edit it again. I have to be in its layer to mess with it. If I'm in another layer, I can only mess with it. So if I wanted to go in and alter the text now, I'm in the wrong layer. If I want to edit this sign, I can. Now keep in mind when you're playing with layers, I'm just going to do a little graffiti here. Let's switch colors. Let's just do white, maybe. All right, so there's white. I could paint over this with white. So that's what I just did. I painted in this layer. I'm painting in this layer. Now I'm only right now in layer 3. If I turn off layer 3, you can see I didn't actually paint on the house. I only painted in layer 3. Okay, so that's important to note about the way layers work. If you change the ordering of layers, again, that will affect what you see. So if I switch the house with layer 3, you can see the house is now sitting on top of the paint that I did in layer 3 earlier. Right, that paint is still there. It's just appearing in a different spot. And the house, if you notice, let's see, how can I see that better? Let's turn off the background. Anytime you see that checkerboard, it means it's transparent on the screen in front of you. You can see through it. Okay, white, I can't see through. That I can see through. Let's put that back on and back up a bit. Let's see. Turn off that paint. All right. So layers give you a lot of flexibility, a lot of power, but you got to be conscious of which layer you're in when you're working. So if you wanted to edit the for sale sign, you have to be in its layer, and you select it in the layer dialog box over here. If you wanted to edit the great price, then you would have to select that layer. Oops, I accidentally moved it. And sometimes the order doesn't matter just because where they're sitting to one another with respect to one another. I have to be in that layer, and I have to select the text tool and then double click it if I want to edit that text. In terms of color, size, shape, font, whatever. Let's see, what else do you need to know about layers? It is a good idea when you're constructing an image like this that has many components that each be in its own component. So I think this is a better design than what I did earlier, in that I have that black in its own separate layer. As far as erasing goes, erasing only works in the active layer. So right now I'm in the text layer. So if I try to erase anything over there, nothing happens. I could only erase here. Let's see, can't erase text, but I could erase the sign. Okay. Now it looks like I'm painting in black, but I'm not. I'm erasing. Now notice nothing happens over here because the sign, layer 3, has nothing over there. Let's give that a better name. So if I make the black background disappear, you can see that I've actually erased in that layer because it's transparent. Transparency can be a really powerful tool also. Let's undo that. If you want transparency to be part of your image, so maybe I want this part to blend in with any background wherever I put it in a Word document on the internet. To preserve transparency, you have to save in an image format that does transparency. Since this has layers, I should save it using the Pixlr format to preserve my layers so I can go back and edit them later. And I should put it in a good location with a good name. Whoa. So let's say this is a new image with layers. If I want to preserve that transparency and send it to somebody so that they can take advantage of it, then I want to save it in a format that uses that. JPEG does not. JPEG will turn the transparency white unless you have a program that will allow you to pick a different background color. PNG does take care of transparencies. So that way, if I save this as a PNG, then if I imported this onto a web page and the web page had a green background, this area here would appear green. Same thing in a word processor. You'd see through this part if this image were floating around on the page. All right, that's it for now. A little fun with layers. Have fun. Take care.